We're taking a Robinhood account from $0 all the way to 1 million, and I'm showing you every step of the way how I get there. So we'll give you a brief overview of the account, the current positions that we're in, and then we'll dive into the charts. So last week we were up to around $6,000. Today, because of the counter rally trend in the S&P 500, we are back down to $5,300, as well as we did lock in a loss on SAVA Sciences. We finally just let that roll off. It was just burning a hole in the boat, if you will, and we decided to just take the loss, $1,100 loss on it. So we're still up so far in the challenge. Now that that is off the books, I do think we can have some stronger pushes to the upside. Today in the account, we are mainly long NEO and Grab. NEO is a Chinese EV manufacturer, and Grab is sort of like the Uber of Southeast Asia. We also have these SPY butterfly put spreads. We're still up 20% on them just because we got such a great entry before the FOMC drop. And then we also bought some SPY call debit spreads this week because of the trend to the upside. And since it's holiday week, it's a short week, usually you do have a stronger push to the upside. And then we are still short both semiconductors as well as MicroStrategy. That's a bet against crypto. But looking at the charts, you can see that SPY, it did have that really strong push to the downside after Jerome Powell said that they'll be trying to pause on the rate cuts, or rather lower the amount of rate cuts that we do expect next year. And we had that break under 603. Since then, we had that strong push to the downside. Eventually, we found support on Friday, and we had that really strong counter trend, and we are trying to retrace this whole move. I do think it's possible that we can get up to this 603 level or even get back into this range over the next week, and that's why we are playing call options on SPY. So this this like 599.25 level, this is a level of resistance, but the next level is around 692. We're already pushing through that level. It is a short week. Today we do close the market at 1 p.m. So I do expect us just to continue to float, melt up, and retrace this whole FOMC move, which is pretty common in the stock market. Every time there is a big swing on FOMC, we will retrace it. But I would equate this to similar to December of 2021 when we had the FOMC meeting. This was on the 15th of December, and we had this push to the upside originally, but they were talking about raising rates, which is really bearish. And then we had a stronger push to the downside, but then all of Christmas week, we pushed back to the upside. And I think that this similar move is playing out. We'll probably find some level of resistance or a supply zone around 600 to 603. And then I think in January is when we'll actually see the larger move to the downside because they are not cutting as many rates as previously intended. This also lines up with the VIX, which is volatility. This is how many people are buying puts or calls on the SPX 30 days out. So this kind of measures how volatile the markets are going to be. And we've really had that strong push after the FOMC. But since then, we've been retracing this total move all the way back to around this level. I think that this 15 level will act as support. And of course, if volatility bounces, then asset prices will drop. Looking at Bitcoin, and we'll talk about MicroStrategy in a second. Bitcoin has had some weakness. Obviously, we had this downtrend after the FOMC, even starting right before it. We kind of topped out around this 108 level, and we've been trading in this range. And you can see we've come down multiple times. We've bounced from this 92.3K level of 3 or 4 times now. That also lines up with the 50-day moving average. So that level is acting as support. If you're long Bitcoin, you want to see it hold that level. If it breaks below, I do think that because we're not standing on a lot of volume, you will see price move very quickly. So if we do break below this level, I think that we will come back down into these zones where you see much more volume and business being done. Price likes to move very quickly between this like 76 to 85K level. So if you're long crypto, you got to be really careful because price will move very quickly on you here. But of course, we'll probably find some level of support in this 73 to 75K range. And then that brings me to MicroStrategy. Michael Saylor, he's the CEO of MicroStrategy. He's just been buying Bitcoin forever. And you can see that we did break down this pattern here. We've been consolidating around 320 to 360. I do think that this will continue lower. In a similar pattern to Bitcoin, obviously this company, they just buy Bitcoin, they dilute shareholders through convertible notes, and then they buy Bitcoin with the proceeds. And as long as Bitcoin is going higher, their stock will continue to do well. But once Bitcoin has a correction, MicroStrategy is highly leveraged, and because they're diluting the shareholders and raising the cost basis of their Bitcoin holdings, you will see a stronger drop on MicroStrategy, and that's why I'm long MSTZ, which is a 2x inverse leveraged ETF of MicroStrategy. Obviously, it's a really risky position because if Bitcoin pushes to the upside, then MicroStrategy will probably push even further to the upside. But I do think that we are near an interim top in Bitcoin, and MicroStrategy will have a stronger correction to the downside and fill this gap around 280 to 295. I do think we'll get down there. So that's what I'm looking for to start taking some profit there. And then, of course, on semiconductors, if you're trying to play AMD, it's been in this long downtrend. We've had a bounce, obviously, on NVIDIA and AMD because the whole market is just rallying this week, and I think that will continue. But at some point in the next few weeks, I do think that this is going to have a larger push to the downside. I think even NVIDIA will come down again and retest these levels, and I do think it will break below just because they are not lowering rates as much as they were previously thought to be. So that's kind of what I'm playing. Obviously, I'm long NEO. This has been the point of control for many years now, around $4.50. And we've kind of bounced to the upside. They're releasing new lines, both the Envo and the Firefly. They're trying to expand into Europe. Their ET9, which is a luxury SUV, sold out within hours, 999 units. This stock should be trading a lot higher today just on all those news. But because it's a Chinese company, there's a lot of other things that need to take place for this stock to run. Obviously, if you look at the Hang Seng or China large cap ETFs, you see that these have been kind of compressed for a period of time. Same thing with Alibaba. We've had this long downtrend after the initial stimulus news. So once China kind of turns around, I think NEO is going to have a really strong push to the upside. I think it's worth closer to like $8 to $10. So I'd really like to see that play out. And we're not only in shares, but also long dated call options. And then looking at Grab, this is what I'll cover last. I do think this could fall a bit further. It's been in this like broadening wedge. And if you look at the volume profile, there's not a lot of volume that it's standing on. It finally broke out above this like $4 level that it was trading in over a longer period of time. We could break this broadening wedge lower and come all the way back to this $4 level. But I'm really trying to accumulate as many shares as possible, as well as long dated call options. I'll continue to sell shorter dates on both puts and calls to collect premiums and try to lower my overall cost basis on shares. But like I said, I do think this can fall a bit further, but long term, I am bullish on both Grab and NEO. So I'll just try to continue to take hits if I need to, but I'm just in the game of accumulation right now. So hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Hope you have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I'll see you soon. Peace.